Emily and Jake thought they had found the perfect home, an old house on the edge of town, strangely affordable, full of charm. But on their first night, they heard it, soft whispers echoing through the empty halls. They searched every room, nothing. The sounds returned the next night, then the next. What seemed like harmless noise became chilling voices calling out to them from the wall. As the nights dragged on, the house's secrets began to rise, whisper by whisper, pulling them deeper into a nightmare they never saw coming. Emily and Jake were newlyweds searching for a fresh start. When they saw the listing, an old two-story house on the edge of town for half the price of anything else, they didn't hesitate. It was aged, sure, but it had character. Weathered bricks, creaky floorboards, and a wraparound porch with chip paint that somehow made it feel authentic. The neighbors watched them from behind curtains, but never said a word. One even crossed the street when Emily waved. Still, the couple shrugged it off. The house was quiet, peaceful, almost too peaceful. They unpacked boxes, filled the rooms with laughter and dreams. At night, the silence was absolute. No traffic, no crickets, no wind, but something else had moved in with them. The first night passed without incident, but on the second, just past midnight, Emily stirred in bed. A soft sound tickled her ears, like a whisper carried on the breeze. She nudged Jake. "Did you hear that?" He didn't. She followed the sound through the narrow hallway. The whispers came and went, barely louder than a breath. Words she couldn't quite make out. She checked each room. Empty. Jake brushed it off. Old pipes, drafts. It's just the house settling. But the whispers returned the next night, and the night after that. Always faint, always around the same hour. They searched the attic, the basement. Nothing. The house was empty, but never truly silent. By the fourth night, the whispers grew clearer and closer. Emily began to trace them, her fingers grazing the walls as she moved from room to room. The sound was no longer floating through the air. It was inside the wall. She called for Jake. He listened too, reluctantly at first, but then his expression changed. It's like someone's talking right behind it. It wasn't every night. Sometimes it skipped. Other times it lasted hours, but always from the walls, like the house was speaking, muttering things just beyond understanding. And each night it got a little louder. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was behind the walls, something real. One afternoon, he grabbed a flashlight, a hammer, and began tapping along the hallway. A hollow thud responded near the back of the house. It didn't match the rest. Beneath the plaster was an old wooden panel, and behind that, a narrow passage. The air was cold, stale. The space led to a small room, hidden and windowless. No furniture, no light fixture, just dust, cobwebs, and scratch marks on the inside of the door. They realized there wasn't just one hidden space. The house had several, and the whispers, they'd been coming from inside them. The hidden room was unsettling enough, but it didn't stop there. Behind another wall, they found a second space, even smaller, like a crude chamber carved into the house's bones. Symbols, dozens of them, burned into the wood, painted in deep reds and blacks, spirals, eyes, markings they didn't recognize. None of it looked decorative. It felt ritualistic, like someone had spent hours, maybe days, creating them in secret. Some were faded, others looked fresh, as if someone or something had been in that room recently. And still, each night the whispers returned. Only now they were whispering names. At first, the whispers were just sounds, barely human. But one night, as Jake brushed his teeth, he heard it. Jake, a perfect echo of Emily's voice, soft and close. He rushed to their bedroom. Emily was asleep. The next evening, Emily heard her own voice call Jake from the hallway, except she hadn't said a word. What began as faint echoes grew bolder, clearer. Familiar tones now carried through the walls at night, mimicking private conversations, ones never spoken aloud. It wasn't just the house whispering anymore. It was pretending to be them. It was nearing midnight, the air thick with the kind of silence that only came before something terrible. As Emily lay in bed, she heard it again, the whispers, but this time something was different. Faint at first, then growing closer. Emily, her name, but with a coldness that made her skin crawl. Then a sudden shift. The whispers stopped until a blood-curdling scream tore through the air, so loud it felt like the house itself was screaming in agony. Emily and Jake shot up, terrified, unable to breathe. The walls were alive, and they were angry. The scream had shattered their sense of safety. The next few days, a thick unease clung to the house. It wasn't just the whispers anymore. It was something worse. Everywhere they went, it felt like eyes were on them, unseen, unblinking. In the kitchen, Jake swore he caught a glimpse of someone in the corner of his eye, but when he turned, no one was there. Emily felt it too. She'd hear her name whispered in a voice that sounded just like hers, coming from empty rooms. And the walls, those damn walls, they seemed to watch too, waiting, listening, desperate for answers. Emily and Jake began searching the attic, dusty boxes, old furniture, forgotten heirlooms. It was there, buried beneath a stack of yellowed paper, that they found it. The journal was ancient, its pages fragile, written in a hurried hand. As Jake read aloud, the words chilled them both. It detailed rituals, strange symbols, and an obsession with communication, not with the living, but with something far darker. The Previous owners had practiced dark rites in the very rooms they had discovered, desperate to summon something from beyond, a voice, a presence, and it had worked. The walls were no longer just walls. They had become alive. Every night, the whispers grew louder, more frantic, as if something or someone was trapped inside, desperate to get out. At first, it was subtle, a shift in the air. Then, the walls themselves began to move, the creaking, the groaning, as if the house was shrinking. The walls began to close in, inch by inch, suffocating them. The room felt smaller, the ceiling lower, as if the house was deliberately trapping them inside. And through it all, the whispers didn't stop. They grew louder until they were all they could hear. As the walls tightened around them, Jake and Emily realized the truth. They were never meant to leave. The house had claimed them. The voices that once whispered now roared in agony, echoing through the suffocating walls. The ritual, the symbol, it was all part of the house's plan. And somewhere, deep in the darkness, the house waits, still listening, still whispering, always watching. If you ever hear whispers at night, be careful where you listen. Some voices are better left unheard. If you enjoyed this spine-chilling tale, don't forget to hit that like button. And for more terrifying stories like the Whispering Walls, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new mystery. Stay tuned for more haunting tales. Who knows, the next story might be closer than you think.